Alright guys, we are back for another Dokkan battle video. So we're gonna do the kind of like showcase in the Omega fight for STR Carnival Goku. But honestly, I was using him while getting footage for other characters. So the first like sort of like footage we're looking at here, this was us using this Carnival Goku. I was doing it on the team versus video for the AGL LR Carnival Goku team versus the INT LR Kid Gohan team. It was, again, that team versus video. So we got a bunch of footage. I was using this Goku there, and honestly, I felt like this Goku, he pretty much trashed Omega. Like, I feel like he was just really good throughout a vast majority of the fight, right? Like, this Carnival Goku just did very strong. I think it was pretty good because we kind of got a couple of rotations where, like, he eats super attacks and stuff like that. Like, we do see this Carnival Goku sort of just in the center of the action. And then we also have footage, the second, like, sort of video we're taking footage from is from the AGL LR Gohan showcase we did. So, I mean, this Carnival Goku, what are his weaknesses? The weakness for this STR Carnival Goku is that he can take massive damage early on in fights before he builds up, right? Remember that Carnival Goku, the way he builds up is he has to take 5 attacks. And this is, for the most part, a slot 2 or a slot 3 character. Like, that's what this Goku is. Like, you're not really going to typically just be running this guy sort of like in slot 1 or something like that. So kind of like a weakness that this Goku is going to encounter, right, is that he could take a lot of damage early on, or if the fight flows in a certain way, Goku is not able to get those hits in to build up his passive. Again, he gets 15% attack and defense with each attack received up to a max of 75%. Once that's fully built up, he is pretty strong, I think in slot 2 or 3, but it's not always mega free getting that out. Now, Goku, when Goku got hit right there, noticed we got a little key as well. So that key is basically the signal that you fully built up that Goku's stats, right? So he gets to 15% attack and defense with each attack received up to 75%. Then he gets 2 key starting from that 5th hit in battle, which we saw right there. And then finally he gets a scouter at 10 hits. 10 hits is an awful lot. I've used this Goku, I mean, I don't know exactly how many times, but, I mean, we gotta be maybe, like, 150, 200. Like, these are, like, you know, not, like, Link level and run, something like that, but just, like, you know, like, tough red zone level fights, or, you know, super battle level fights or something like that. I've gotten the scouter for this Goku only a handful of times. You just aren't going to see it that often, but now, in this very difficult new boss, at 2 runs in a row, I've used this Carnival Goku, and not only have I gotten the scouter with him, but it's, you know, guaranteed a W, basically. So this Carnival Goku, I think this Carnival Goku, AGL LR Carnival Goku, and then the INT LR Carnival Kid Gohan, all 3, those are 3 characters massively buffed by this event. I put this footage in here, right here, so we do transform with LR Super Saiyan 4 right here. So keep in mind on this next turn we're about to see in a couple of seconds right here, you know, Oob, remember when Oob transforms and comes out, he gives massive defense to that rotation and then the following rotation. So on this turn right here coming up, Carnival Goku is going to be built up. Right here. So Carnival Goku on this turn is going to have a lot of extra defense. Remember that this fight also potentially could go pretty good for this Carnival Goku because there's these AoEs, right? STR Omega right here potentially could do 2 AoE attacks, and then INT Omega at the end could do 3 AoE attacks. So even if attacks are not directly targeted at this Goku, you could still potentially be able to get him built up by these AoEs kind of existing as well, right? So I just think that things, again, work very well for this STR Carnival Goku in this fight, so I do feel a lot better about him, right? This is the thing. This is definitely the hardest fight in the game, right? But they did manage to make it a little bit longer, too. Typically, longer fights are easier because you have all of these characters. Like, just look at this rotation right here. AGL Carnival Goku has to get hit 9 times and super attack to stack defense. STR Carnival Goku has to get hit 10 times, right? And then, of course, there's the Tech World Tournament Goku at the end who has to revive and get hit 10 times. I think it's 10 times for Tech Goku, right? So you just have so many characters like that who have to build up over the course of a very, very long fight. But, you know, now we have a fight that actually does go on longer, even when we're using these ridiculously busted, you know, 8th anniversary level LR characters. These fights are still going on for quite a while. Like, look at this. This is turn 7 right here, right? And that's the thing. Oftentimes, turn 7, like, the fight is done in all the other difficult fights in the game. Sin, Metal Cooler Core, Broly, all those, right? Like, you're finished. You're wrapping that shit up. But here, it's like, look, now we're on turn 9, and we haven't even reached the final phase yet, right? Like, this is just a common thing that does sort of happen in this fight. You're able to go much longer, because you're never going to get the 10 hits needed for this guy, you know, usually on, like, earlier rotations and stuff like that. It's just not going to happen, right? Or like the other fights, you're not going to get the 10 hits you need. It's going to be very, very uncommon just with how powerful our characters are nowadays that could sort of do tremendous damage to these bosses. So that's just something to keep in mind, right? So this Carnival Goku, of course, is built up, you know, and looks quite a bit better. Just going over some of his other details. Okay, so here's a nice turn. So keep in mind, things look a little bit funky. Omega is supering at the start and at the end on this rotation. I don't know exactly what to call this. I've seen some people call it a bug. I don't know if it's actually a bug, but you can see a boss do this. Usually a boss with a very low super attack cooldown is one you're more likely to see this. But this interaction, because Omega cannot super 2 times on a turn, but we see that he is because of Carnival Goku's Scouter, right, which is up. Since Carnival Goku has been hit the full 10 times, we saw his active skill. By the way, his active skill does good damage, gives him guaranteed crits for the turn, and gives all allies 5 ki in rotation as well, which could be helpful. But the reason 2 super attacks can happen, it's if you have a character that revives. You die on the turn and they revive, and it's before the boss super attacks. Then you could have a rare interaction where then the boss was about to super attack. He still will at the start of the next fight. And then if it's one of these crazy difficult fights where the boss has a million attacks and a low super attack cooldown, we could see something like this happen where Omega is supering in slot 1 and then supering in slot 3. I mean, there's very few teams or situations or setups that would be able to handle this effectively. Because remember, this Omega supers for 1.4 million damage, and he hits you with a 40% defensive debuff as well. So characters can't really live too effectively. Even on this rotation, we only survive because the Super Saiyan Goku at the end actually well, it's not 3 dodges. I think he has 18 dodge in the potential system, but his hidden potential system dodge saves us. This is good footage too, because we saw STR Carnival Goku. The damage he was taking here, you know, what was it? It was like around 10k-ish. Honestly, that's acceptable. That level of damage that STR Carnival Goku has taken from this boss, I mean, I will definitely take that. There's a lot of characters who are going to eat way more damage from this Omega Shenron boss. We get more footage again in a second when we do the Gohan run, where we have Bulma around, and Carnival Goku is double-digit tanking this guy towards the end. So it can be very, very, very effective. Let me go over more details of this Goku's kit, you know, just to familiar you guys with it. So at 24 ki, remember that Goku does get a guaranteed additional super, which is very good. Here, by the way, that's an 18 dodge right there. So you get the 30% attack and defense on 12 ki and 18 ki for this Carnival Goku. So if you get to 24 ki, you're going to get a lot of additional super attacks and stuff like that. All right, so on this run, we're going to be pairing him up with AGL LR Gohan. Again, this is the showcase I was doing around AGL LR Gohan actually in this event, right? And AGL LR Gohan, man, I mean, he works very effectively, but there's one strong thing to keep in mind if you want to try this rotation in this fight, and that's that Gohan and Carnival Goku, they share all 7 links. Golden Warrior, Saiyan Warrior Race, Super Saiyan, Kamehameha, Prepare for Battle, Fierce Battle, Legendary Power. We are going to have all 7 of those links activated the entire time. And this entire run, we're able to go through this rotation this entire run. Now, I gamble a little bit at the start right here. If Omega supered right away, we would take massive damage. It would have been really bad. But there was so many attacks in slot 1, I knew, like, okay, like, if we can get the attack off, you know, if I just sort of, you know, just gamble a little bit, and that first attack is not a super attack, we're going to be in a really, really good position. And remember, I mean, the faster you get 10 attacks on this Carnival Goku, so you can get that Scouter up, the faster you have a real advantage. I do like this Carnival Goku, because, I mean, he's also a support character, right? Like, to me, I find it very easy to run support characters that are, like, red zone viable, that could actually take these hits without completely selling, without completely dying, without the entire run being thrown in the garbage just because one character gets caught randomly with a super attack. I do like that this Carnival Goku will give us that super class allies 2-key 50% defense to the whole rotation, and, you know, we can feel pretty comfortable about Carnival Goku kind of out there in front of these hits, in front of these situations, right? So, again, I feel like he's kind of doing pretty good. I do like, you know, them releasing more difficult stages is good, and I was saying this over the last several months. They can release new difficult content that doesn't necessarily need to be like a boss event power creep. I mean, I wouldn't really say that this is a power creep over the Sin Shenron fight, right? This Omega basically just hits a little bit harder and has a little bit different gimmicks and stuff like that, which makes him a little bit trickier than the Sin Shenron boss, right? But, like, they didn't, you know, like, okay, so, like, Sin Shenron, I think his super attack damage is 1.344 million. That's the super attack damage that he does, Sin Shenron does, and then he also defensive debuffs as well, right? Here, they didn't go, oh, okay, so Sin Shenron does 1.344, let's go ahead and make Omega Shenron do 2.5 million. They didn't do that, because they don't need to. Like, they can design these fights in ways where they make it the hardest, they could structure it differently, and still make it relevant. I think a good example, too, is the Red Zone Cell Max fight, which I do think is a tough fight, is a challenging fight, but the Red Zone Cell Max fight is certainly not, like, you know, on the level of this, right? Because it's kind of like a quick fight where, you know, the boss turn 1 can triple super and can triple super the whole way through and can kind of bully your weaker characters, stuff like that. You know, characters have to stack up. You don't get a chance to stack up with some of these characters. That's kind of like an important thing to keep in mind when it does come to, like, the Red Zone Cell Max fight. I think Dokkan this year, a lot of characters' designs, I think we should just call it as it is, a lot of characters' designs have been bad, right? Like, major releases, characters' designs, that they've made them, it's not always about how OP can they be, but how unfun I feel like they make some of these characters. Maybe like Dokkan Fest Super 17, you know, there's situations where Kale feels unfun. Like, they kind of have set restrictions that make things, you know, they kind of like sap some of the fun away. But when it comes to the events, I do think that Dokkan, with the difficult stages that have released in 2023, have done a really good job. So these very difficult stages I'm talking about, I think Red Zone Cell Max is a 2023 fight. 8th Anniversary Sin Shenron is a 2023 fight. And then also this Omega Shenron fight. Those 3 very difficult fights this year, I think, are all very well designed, and I like them quite a bit, right? So, like, that's a really, really good thing I think that Dokkan has done. I hope that we can continue to see them sort of create, like, good, challenging, difficult fights, right? Again, that aren't just a massive power upgrade. You know, they dropped Red Zone Omega Shenron. His super attack hits harder than this guy's super attack does, but Red Zone Omega Shenron obviously doesn't apply the defensive debuff as well, which makes this guy, you know, definitely, like, feel like he's hitting harder. But that's exactly what I mean, right? We can go ahead and play this animation right here. Let's go ahead and get this in. So there we go. And remember that when we do the active skill, Carnival Goku and HLR Gohan, they, like, link up really well anyway, right? And, like, they're not really going to struggle for ki, but Carnival Goku gives all allies 5 ki for the turn, which I think can be a pretty impactful ability, depending upon maybe what the rotations look like, maybe what the situation is. You know, you're typically going to get this active skill right near the final turn, as we do right here. And, you know, getting that active skill, getting the scouter, you know, getting the guaranteed crits, giving the allies the key, the whole package can be pretty good. Now, all throughout this run, right, where we've been pairing him next to EJ LR Gohan, remember that we have had Bulma support up pretty much the whole time, right? You know, at points, you know, we also had Oob support up as well, right? You know, these are things to remember. So there we go. I mean, this pretty much covers STR LR Carnival Goku in this Omega Shenron fight, man. But he did good. I mean, I would definitely say after this STR Carnival LR Goku's performance in this Omega fight a couple of times, I feel like I like him better after this event exists. I do think it's important to understand that this is the toughest fight in the game. So when we evaluate characters' performance, this should be the first thing we think of. But there are other fights that do matter too. Like, I care how a character performs against Metal Cooler Core, Red Zone Broly, Cell Max, right? You know, maybe the 8th anniversary Sin Shenron still, right? Like, these fights also matter, right? Like, that's why it's a world tour, because we're testing them out against a variety of bosses that have different typings, different abilities, you know, different powers and stuff like that. And I feel like this STR Carnival Goku, while maybe there's some other fights he doesn't do quite as well in, because it can be difficult to build up a lot of his attacks, I feel like this Goku has been able to perform really quite well in this Omega fight, right? Like, being able to take double-digit damage from the AoEs, sure, it's with juiced Bulma support, but, I mean, he still does it. It's tough. I mean, I know, you know, Bulma support is as ridiculous as it is, but it still, I think, does matter quite a bit. If a character can double-digit tank, even if it is with Bulma support. I mean, Bulma right now is way too good in this game. I just see no reason why you wouldn't run her. Like, if you could run Bulma, you're always going to. So there we go. There's 2 runs, basically back-to-back runs, where I use this STR Carnival Goku, where not only does he, like, completely, it feels like he completely dominates. There's never a point where he felt, like, inadequate or not really that great or anything like that. I feel like Carnival Goku directly, hugely impacted my ability to win both of the runs in here. And especially with the Scouter at the end towards this Omega Shenron, it really worked out well. So let me know what you guys think of STR LR Carnival Goku. But he performed really, really good in this fight, man. I really do like the level of performance that we can get from STR LR Carnival Goku in this very difficult into Omega Shenron boss fight, right? So let me know what you guys think of STR LR Carnival Goku. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.